Welcome to another episode of Educating Homebuyers, the podcast. I'm your host, Brady Haye, and my mortgage team has over 9 years of mortgage experience here in Des Moines, Iowa. Whether you're buying your first home, upgrading, investing, or simply just curious about the market, this show is all about helping you and future homebuyers feel informed, educated, and comfortable as you take your next step. Each week, I sit down with real estate professionals, past clients, and local experts to unpack real stories, real advice, and what you actually need to know when buying a home today. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Today's guest is someone who leads with compassion, clarity, and deep commitment to serving people she serves. She's made a bold leap from corporate America to real estate, not just to chase a career, but simply to build a life where she could help others by building theirs. She's known as her calm presence and honest communication, and for going the extra mile to make sure that the buyers feel informed, powerful, and comfortable. When you're working with her, it looks like the biggest realtor that's ever come as a biggest advocate. This conversation is one that you will not want to miss. Megan Avila, welcome to Educating Homebuyers.
Thanks, Brady. Thanks for having me.
Excited
How's it going?
To chat with you today. So
yeah, me too.
Excited to jump in, kind of tell about your journey, about educating homebuyers, kind of what got you into real estate, I guess. So
yeah, so I would say my interest for it didn't really start until I was about 25, and I had
How long ago was that? You're only 26 now, right?
that was 2019.
Okay.
Yes.
So you've been doing it about 6 years.
Well, got licensed in 2021, but when I bought my first house was 2019, and I had some money saved up, and I was like, should I invest it in the stock market or something, or should I buy a house? And my family was like, I think you should buy a house.
Okay.
So family member referred me to somebody. That's Jason Mickelson. He's now my team leader and was my realtor, and helped me buy my first home, and that's kind of where the interest started from there. And I saw property values keep going up after I bought my house, and I got more interested in it after that.
So that just goes to show like the power of a true mentor, right? Or somebody who executed at a high level, right? Like clearly Jason represented you well as your agent. Right. And set a good example, and then you kind of wanted to follow in his path, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and I mean, there's uncertainty with that and starting your own business and being self-employed, and to have a mentor to be like, I'm going to guide you. And
what kind of corporate America were you in?
Social work.
Okay.
Yep. So, Medicaid, in-home services.
Horrible.
Well, I mean, it was a lot of still helping people. You're going in people's homes. You're hearing their problems. You're solving for those, and you're helping them get to where they want to go next, which was in that situation, just leaning more towards more independence in the home.
Got it. So that really transitions well to real estate, though.
It does.
Because you're still helping with that transition and that, life journey,
Right. Just kind of helping people, and that reward that comes with, we have a problem to solve. You're stuck. You have a need that isn't filled yet, and I want to help you get there. Right. And so, it's super transferable.
So what does that look like, I guess, from your, your client experience? Is there anything that you've kind of built that you think is unique, or like what's kind of give everybody an inside look into what working with Megan looks like for when you're buying a house?
I would say I like to pride myself on being very down to earth and realistic. When I first got into real estate, I was worried about, can I do sales and being worried about that? But it's really just about helping and keeping it real and not sugarcoating it and saying, maybe this isn't the right house to buy and maybe there's a better fit because of XYZ, and truly just having their best interests.
That's so funny you say that, because Jamie, the previous episode, just talked about the exact same thing. She's like, probably one of the hardest things that we have to do is talk people out of houses, and you have to not be afraid to do that, right? Because if it's not the right fit and you already understand their goals, what they want out of a house, so you just kind of know how to help navigate that, and like, hey, this house doesn't meet what you told me you wanted. Why are we looking at it?
Well, and it's about the relationship. Like I care more about that trust and truly them knowing that I have their back and want them to see them meet those goals.
Yeah, for sure.
So
how do you, what's your, I guess, upfront process look like? Are you identifying those with a consultation? Like, what does that look like, I guess?
Yeah, I would say I definitely do a buyer consultation, especially with people who reach out directly. Our team also does some Zillow leads too, so that sometimes looks a little bit different. Sometimes it is at the house. Sure. After we get started there, and it's
because they already have interest in a specific property.
Yeah, and so, we go through the buyer agency first, kind of set that timeline. Maybe it's a shorter timeline sometimes. And then then, you know, after we get done touring the house, it's diving still into all that. I bring a ton of resources.
Yeah.
And we still do a consultation that way too. So, definitely a consultation, setting expectations, and kind of prepping them for what's to come. So there's not as many surprises.
How's activity been? Have you guys been busy?
Yeah. I mean, it always, I guess for me, slows down just a little bit in August.
Sure.
I think with the state fair, back to school and stuff. But it's
I think you're not alone in that. I think that's a common occurrence. And I don't know if that's an Iowa thing or a national thing, to be honest with you, because like obviously Iowa State Fair is a big hot topic in our state.
Yeah, it's popular. The food, all the things.
Yeah, and obviously back to school happens nationwide, so that's definitely a big topic, and nobody really wants to move prior to that. I think they're probably squeezing in like...
Or they already have.
Yeah,
they already have in the spring. You know, their families are getting ready to go back to school, and they would have had this done by now. So I do think it slows down a little bit, or you start to see maybe the start of that uptick towards the end of August for people looking to move by Christmas
in the fall.
time.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're right, and it takes time for everybody listening. Like, I usually tell people 4+ months in advance before you want to start, you know, considering a move is the right time to reach out. Right.
I would agree.
Kind of working backwards. It's like, okay, when do I want a new home? Maybe I'm a first time home buyer. My lease is up by a certain time, or, you know, whatever that may be. If you have a lease ending, good rule of thumb is 6 months to 4 months prior to that, bare minimum is enough time to kind of prep for that. Would you agree?
Well, and when does that first payment kick in too? Yeah. Because as we know, depending on when you close in the month, as long as it's after the second of the month, it can be pushed off over 2 months.
Exactly.
2 months.
Yeah. So you get usually you skip a payment. So when you buy a house, if you close in, let's say August, you skip September, first payment due October 1st. Yeah. So there's kind of that grace period, especially for our first time buyers listening. That's a fantastic opportunity to either recoup some funds that it costs you to buy the house, or B, just take a month off and not have, you know, 2 payments, or even time it up where, you know, if you close on a new house and maybe you want to do some projects before you move in or whatever it may be, you have a little bit of grace period there before you have 2 payments, you know, if you were still maintaining a lease.
Some time to get in there, make the updates you want to do. And
I think that's a great touch point and educational point for everybody listening, is like, you kind of know grace period wise, good rule of thumb, 6 months prior, start the process, have the conversation with somebody you know, like, and trust. And then usually, you know, timeline wise, 30 to 60 days is roughly how long typically it takes to write an offer and get an offer accepted and close on that property. And then you, like I said, I get to skip 1 month before your payment starts. So
perfect.
I love it. What's, what else has been new in the market, I guess? Have you noticed any recent stories or client wins or anything like that like you've kind of helped people navigate?
Yeah, that's great. I was actually thinking about this, and there has been a few trends recently, I would say, and that's buyers looking to do their move up buy. And you know, needing to sell the old home and also buy the new one simultaneously for various reasons. Like maybe they don't have enough funds to buy without selling, or so helping them navigate that has been a common theme lately, and kind of educating them on the differences between maybe buying subject to sale of their old home versus home of choice. And I think a lot of clients don't know about home of choice as an option too.
So talk about that.
So that would be, you know, if maybe there is some tight equity in the current home, not a lot of wiggle room, and maybe the clients are a little unsure, you know, will my house sell at all, or will it sell for the price that
I need?
And not that makes it worth that, but you know, there's concern there. And so then I would say, you know, maybe an option is listing your current home subject to choice of finding your next home. And so then we would just, probably start planning about 6 months prior to seeing what options are out there in the market to make sure that what you're wanting actually exists and at the pre-approval price that you plan for. And so I think that's just been the common theme lately.
The home of choice thing is really nice because it gives people that flexibility and not feeling like pressured to make a quick decision. Right. Like, so if you list your property, and let's say you want $300,000 for the home that you're selling, you know, and maybe you get that offer right away, but you haven't lined something up, that home of choice contingency in there allows you to kind of take your time and make sure you're making the right decision. All while not feeling like you have to make that pressure. But also at the same time, on the flip side, it felt like for me, you know, 3 to 4 years ago, amidst the chaos of when real estate was really crazy, a lot of people when you were buying, kind of got forced to write your offers non-subject to sale because you wanted to win, right? There were 15 other people that also wanted that house. Well, now you feel uncomfortable and pressured to own 2 houses at the same time.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's risk for some people.
It is, yeah. And listen, there are people that can support that and do that. And the beauty of back then is like, houses were selling so quickly that usually if you'd write an offer non-subject to sale, that listing, you could get it live on the market, sold prior to the other one closing. So it would eliminate that risk. But the peace of mind that I'll give people now is like, in the nature of our market, you don't really have to do that. You don't have to be pressured to write an offer not subject to sale. Now, there are still multiple offer situations. I don't want to make it seem like that's not a thing, but it's a little bit more of a calm market. It's balanced. Both sides understand.
A little more time to think sometimes.
Yeah, and I think there's more just like understanding that we're all human beings. We have lives. We have things that go on. It's not like we're dealing on Wall Street. You know, like there's some emotion tied to both sides of this. And I think that's a very, very good thing for both sides, buyers and sellers both.
Yeah, helps everyone make better decisions when they can
and you don't want to be
think
trusted,
and plan.
or you don't want to be like forced to put into a position that you're not comfortable with, you know?
Right.
And I don't want my clients to have to fork over money for 2 payments, you know?
Right. And I think a lot of times they're coming to us with all these fears of, will this even work?
Right.
And I think getting that the current home sold first.
Yeah.
That contract secured out of the way, they're just like, okay.
You know how much money you're going to have, right, from your sale at that point. You already know you've got a buyer that's going to buy it.
Right.
And a lot of times that buyer is also probably going through the same thing. They're probably trying to sell their place, you know? So it's just like peace of mind to know you've just got time to make all these decisions.
Yep. And then they feel more confident to move forward from there. So that's been just a common theme, I think, more recently than subject to sale.
Yep. And you're identifying that probably pretty early, right? Like just figuring that out.
It needs to be identified very early, I would say, because like I said, we're going to have to go browse what homes are all available, right? We don't want to just list your home subject to home of choice and you haven't stepped foot in any house yet or have no idea what you're going to buy. Because what if it doesn't exist? Yeah. So we need to make sure that that's out there. So the last one I just juggled, this buy, sell, home of choice. We started looking like 8 months ahead of time. Got pre-approved.
For their new place.
For the new place. Okay. Yep. We started browsing homes in the fall. They kind of got their feet wet. Yeah. Okay. We're looking for, a 2-car ranch up to 375 in these areas. And they're like, okay, we're seeing what we're liking. We're ready to do this now. This is what we got to do to get listed. Let's go. And they're ready. I
think a big point there too is like knowing that you are looking in advance. So let's say it is 8 months, like that scenario, right? Knowing that there's a strong chance that whatever listings you're looking at 8 months early are probably not going to be the house, right? Unless it happens quickly. But I think
we can always re-strategize from there.
For sure. But if you find the one and fall in love with it, you can change that. But I think that, like I had an example. I had a friend of mine that was going to buy this summer, actually closed a few months ago, but they were going to have to relocate towns and communities entirely. And so they knew like, okay, I'm moving from one small town in Iowa to another, and so I'm excited, right? Like I know this transition's happening. And so I want to start looking at houses. And this was probably 12 months before they knew they were going to close. And they were constricted on the timeline because it was all related to a job change. And so they knew this job change wasn't coming up until a certain month. Well, if it's, let's say that job change is happening in July, well, you can't look at houses in December of the previous year because the odds of those listings still being available when you're making that transition are pretty small. Yeah. So that's one thing that I would tell people is like when you're starting really, really early in the process, which is not a bad thing, I would always encourage people to do that rather than the opposite.
Yeah. At least start the conversation.
Yeah,
put
exactly.
Together an early plan.
I'd always rather you start ahead of time rather than wait till last second, just to be prepared. But if you're going to start looking at houses now and for a fact you're not going to move 12 months from now, just got to be prepared that house that you're going to fall in love with online probably is not going to be for sale 12 months from now. Right. If it is, then we've really seen a market shift.
Yeah. And relocation's a little different, I suppose.
Absolutely.
With that, so
yeah, I love it.
That's why it's good to talk with somebody early on and go through these pros and cons. Like, does this route really make sense?
Yeah. And we talk about this almost every episode, but it just comes back and stems back to their goals. Right. That's really what it is. And we're just here to help navigate it. Right. So what else? What else have you guys been up to? Has been, activity been good?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, probably just a couple homes a month usually. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, a little slowdown right now, but hoping that will pick back up again and Yeah, pretty standard. Like I said, a lot of buy and sells this year.
Yeah.
So I've kind of been recycling and repeating that
Which is a fantastic thing to have, right?
Yeah.
You want to be able to help people navigate both sides and kind of put those pieces together for everybody. I know mutual clients of ours, we helped, I think that was earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken. But they had the same thing. And actually their situation, they did buy prior to selling their existing property. So kind of interesting that we talked about that already. And you were just nothing but a professional. So thanks. I want to say thanks for representing them at such a high level and being thorough with the process. And I've always been impressed with your communication, which is a big aspect from a lending side. And I know you guys expect the same from our side, is just working with humans that know and communicate well and that you can trust.
It's such a time sensitive process.
It is, for sure.
We have to be on top of it and communicating with each other and them.
You deserve that team, right? Like the people that are going to work well together. And you and I both knew that prior to that, our mutual clients that we worked together, we hadn't worked together before. So, it could have been a risk, but we executed it and things went well. And we've actually closed a couple since then, which has been fantastic. So
from when we first met, I was super impressed with your communication. I mean, you were just always on it, and that's how I try to be too. It's like I said, that's what they deserve from us, clients.
Without a doubt.
Too.
We have to be professionals.
All of this is so time sensitive. It really can be, and they deserve that from us.
Yep. And that's, like she said, that's the service we try to provide. And you don't know any different unless you've experienced that other way. But I kind of live and breathe on my phone, whether it's work or whether it's personal stuff or consuming content or posting content or answering emails or answering texts or answering calls. We kind of just always available. But that's the service that home buyers deserve. So
for sure.
I love it. Want to give you an opportunity, plug your socials, plug, how can people get a hold of you? What kind of services do you specialize in?
So I'm Megan Avila. I'm with Century 21 Signature. Been there almost 4 years now. You can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Megan Avila Realtor, number 641-812-5290. I would say I still specialize in first-time buyers, same day buy, sell closings, and also investment properties too, as I've invested as well. So
yeah, I love it. Yeah, tons of positive experience. Megan's a great resource. If anybody's interested, wants to buy a house, she'll be a great point of contact. Been a great friend of mine and business partner, and excited to see where the next future can go. So appreciate you stopping in. We'll definitely
Thanks so much for having me.
Some further episodes. Hopefully this can create some social media traffic for you. But appreciate everybody tuning in. This has been another episode, and we'll see you guys next time.